Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Mm, just got up maybe well, I should say awakened maybe 40 minutes ago. Still a little tired. So excuse me if my voice is a little tired, a little weak. How you all doing? Hope you're all doing okay. Yes, you're looking at the lights out there in the horizon in the good old New York City, Manhattan. Today is July 13, 2022, and the time is about 3:43 a.m. Yeah, so yes, it is early, very early, and my body's a little sore again. Yeah, I did walk my dogs, I had a nice walk, and then I did laundry, the dreaded laundry. Yeah, and I didn't put the clothes up either. So, yeah, a lot of little things. But I got them done. I got them washed at least. So I don't know whether I'll go out. Yeah, I feel really tired. I might just, I don't know. I don't know yet. I might go out still. Uh, I gotta clean up this room. It's messy. Oh well. So, my title, what is race and what is racism? Don't you hate these conversations? Well, I tell you the answer up front before I really begin this live stream. What is it, race and racism? You know, it's something that's made up, and you know, it's not really real. What I mean by that, we're being played again. Yes, we're being played again. You know, I don't think really people would really notice. I mean, people wouldn't really care about what people look like, what people sound like. But you know, people are people, right? But somehow you can take anything with the human species and you can twist it, manipulate it, and cause destruction. And so that's what I mean that it's, you know, it's not real. It's man made, it's a fabrication, and it's done to cause confusion and distraction, all distraction. Yeah, I wrote in the description, so I hope I don't forget. Um, I wrote down this interracial adoption story. When I went in the laundry room in my building, and there was a story being discussed. A new show, a new program. I've never seen it before. I don't have a television in my home, but in the laundry room, they have a cable TV. And sometimes it's on when I come in to do laundry. And it was on this time. Um, and it had an interesting story about an interracial couple. Another thing I want to talk about is the faux pas of Jill, the First Lady, Jill Biden. Something that she just said. So is she now racist? So I say those things up front, and then I want to talk about other stuff to really examine what is race and what is racism. So, and again, I hope I don't offend anybody. When what I'm going to discuss is observances of, and contrast of things that are in my awareness or was brought to my awareness to have me question this phenomenon called racism and race. So let me talk about first the adoption story. Oh, there was a third component. Um, Noticing different peoples and everything about color and colorism. I mean, you'll see how made up what we call race and racism. Yeah, the devil is working on overtime on the human species. And I'm tired. So let me begin with the interracial adoption story that I saw. And again, I'm not to be insensitive of those people who are adopted, and they might have been adopted by someone ethnically, racially, or religion of a different, different group. And I'm not adopted either. Being upfront, I'm not adopted. Yeah, I look like everybody in my family. Yep, I look like my parents. But does that always mean happiness? You choose your battle. You really, really, it's so you really got to choose. And it just goes to show that things could divide. And it's really not about the blood. It really isn't. But yes, I live in America. I live in a big city, New York City. And yes, everything here is about race, racism, all types of isms. And it could stress you out. I know I'm not alone. But let's begin. Um, oh, I wish I knew the name of the program. Yeah, I was walking in on it. Yeah, it has a black female host, very pretty, um, um, like um, like in her 30s or 40s. I've never seen her before. Um, and she interviews people regarding things that were what was that, contrasting, some like secrets. That's what's it's about secrets. And so this one, uh, we had a woman. She's I think in her 30s, and she was adopted, and she's adopting a family, an American family of Italian ancestry, and she always felt like she was never told. Okay, she was never told she was adopted, and but as time went on, she noticed more and more how different she looked than the other people. Okay, and she wanted to get answers. And so she sneaked in her father's den and went through his files. Oh, she actually might be in her 40s, my mistake. I think, yeah, maybe she was in her 40s. But she was relatively young, young, vibrant looking woman. And she snooped through the father's file cabinet and found her birth certificate and found out that she was adopted. And it indicated where she was born. And she was she came out from the country of Colombia, I believe it was, and she didn't want to talk to the mother and father anymore. In the family because she was lied to. Um, being adopted. I should say they withhold that information. And boy, I could go on about that. Again, I'm not adopted, so I don't really have any personal say about it. I mean, but I do have opinion about something like that. But either way, she was livid with the parents and stopped talking to them for a while. But again, she got the courage to bring the matter onto this TV show for discussion. And then you see both parents, the mother and daughter, and she's all smiling and everything, you know. I start to wonder, are some of these shows made up? Is it real? Is it real? Are these real people that have this problem? Because sometimes they could create a story. They say, hey, let's talk about this topic, and just get actors and actresses to play the part. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the story was. But it does have me think. Yeah. Um, why would someone write on a TV show? You know, she was raised in what they call in the United States, an Italian American family. And I would imagine when she was young, she probably looked very much like yeah, I looked at the mom of her. I think, okay, when the mom was young, she probably looked like this little girl. That this now woman. I think it's very honorable for people to adopt people who are in a need. I assume when a child is set up for adoption, that there's a need. That's why they're being adopted. Being adopted out. So I can understand someone, feeling like being surprised that, hey, I thought I was part of this family, and finding out I'm not. But this made her so angry. Um, so the girl was saying, um, no, no, it was the announcer said, oh, interracial, she used the term, oh, should this be permitted, interracial adoption? And that poked my ears up. I said to myself, interracial? What race is the girl, the adopted girl? What race is she classified as in her country? What race? Her coloring, her features. What do a lot of people um, from that community, what do they, when they come to the U.S., when they fill out the application about race, what do they usually call themselves? And that's what surprised me. When the announcer, the host, the host, interracial, what race is she? And what race is the Italian one? What race are they? If they genetically compare each other, what race, what genetics would they share? Would they share more genetics or different? The fact that she was able to so-called pass as an Italian, is enough to say, hey, she looked very much like them. So, but a lot of times people might compare, something like a person of so-called black slash African ancestry and a white family, and identity. But usually it's something like that. The child, if it's a biracial child, pretty much they could tell that that person is not fully Caucasian slash European slash white, right? So something you can't really hide if it's something a little bit more obvious. And that's a whole can of worms in itself. Black and white interracial adoptions, where when it's obvious by their phenotype that they're not from the same family, that it's used to uh, orient the child into a culture, to remove their culture, and for them to lose their identity. That's when it's obvious that the child is of a so-called different race. But what if, okay, in this case, now they kind of, I would imagine when the mom was young and it was supposed to be a very Italian family. They loved being Italian. They loved their heritage. It was very important to the family. And I'm just thinking, well, um, maybe they're extending that to the child. The child might be live in a place like Colombia, but maybe that child might be part Italian. Maybe ethnically, genetically, they have comparison, because no child is, you know, I would imagine many adoptions, people that don't have the exact genetics, right? They basically, oh, I want a little girl, a little boy that kind of looks like this or that. That kind of, sort of, but genes could be strong in some families, certain characteristics, and it could be so slight. But when it's a little baby, no one says a damn thing. But genes, when you get older, start to express themselves in different ways, which causes the awareness. That child started to become aware that they seem different than the others. Why do we live in a society, or why is human nature, why do we notice the differences? You can have something 99% the same, but we are trained to notice the differences. And that's a clue to all this mess on race and racism. Remember with Adam and Eve? The account that we're taught in religion? That Adam and Eve was naked. And they didn't notice that they were naked. So there was nothing about their physiology, their biology that was a problem. They were comfortable until someone brought it to their attention. The snake brought it to, that's a clue again. The snake, the reptile, the deceiver, brought it to your attention that there was a problem. And what was shared to Adam and Eve caused them upset. It also provoked them to eat of this fruit that they were told not to do. That's what really opened their eyes, them eating the fruit, the forbidden fruit. And then they became aware. And that awareness of things different, that's what sparked everything. For them to notice what is different. to notice contrast, etc. So that seed prevails in all of us, I would imagine now, the human genetics. And so it's wired in us to notice differences, to notice contrast, to notice, hey, what's wrong with me? Even though nothing's wrong with you. You were born beautiful. But life now, since that biting that forbidden fruit and being deceived to do that, that was the whole point. To tell Adam and Eve something so that they both would eat of it, that fruit. And it did something to our physiology, our psychology. So now this woman who was from Colombia, and when the host was saying interracial adoptions, it just really confused me. What race is she? Now someone said, oh, well, she's a Hispanic girl. And that's an Italian woman. Or that's a Latina. Well, aren't Italians Latin? See, another label. Another label. Italians is a Latin-based group. So they're both Latin, so how could you say they're a different race? Now the phenotype was pretty much similar, very similar. Label, okay, one's American, one's Colombian. Now someone could be born in a country, and they could be of any race. Just like anybody could be born in the United States of America, and there are many races of people here in America. Many. And I'm sure there are many different races in Colombia. And a lot of gray/mixture. Where too many people consider themselves from that country and other Latin American countries, Latin American countries. When they're that complexion as this woman, the same color as the complexion, I should say, same complexion as the adoptive parent, so how could you say it's a different race of people? You're looking at a baby, and you're looking at a family, and say, hey, you kind of blend in, right? So why are they being criticized? And like, oh, I'm a different race. What race is she? What race do people from our community identify themselves when asked, when they fill out an application? I've seen it. I've seen it before, so I don't understand why the upset. Yes, okay, culturally, she is being raised by a different nationality, American versus Colombian. Yes, she thought they loved her. They treated her as their own. How many people from her country would love the opportunity to be adopted and classified as a white person and receive white privilege, if there's such thing as white privilege in America, and have the finest of things? How many would flock at that to get the opportunity to be raised in America in a white family and have white privilege and have the best of things. You know, I did actually meet someone. Oh, was she from Col-? She told me, she told all of us where she was from. Yeah, and yeah, just remembering now. I met her a little over 2 years ago. It was in March 2020. It was the last day of winter. And I went to a ceremony on the beach. It was to be a cocoa ceremony. And I was going to the beach that day with my little dog in tow. I just wanted to do something a little different. And I saw these two women, two black women wearing all white. So I said, hey, how you doing? And I said, hey, are you guys going to a ceremony? They said, yes. I said, may I come? They said, yes. So I followed them and I introduced myself. They were very nice. And the woman that was to do the ceremony, she originally, you know, like the woman in the story, she was from South America. I forget the country. I apologize for forgetting. But she was a very fair-skinned woman, straight hair. And she was adopted by these ladies, these Jewish women, she said. And they always told her that she was special, and it was something very positive. Yeah, she knew she was adopted. And she said that she always was interested in uh, multicultural things. Yes, so yes, they adopted her, and they wanted her special. And so she was always aware about differences of people. She had a very playful personality. Very, she was a trip. She was really fiery lady. Yeah, petite. You know, she had meat on her bones. She was very short, but boy, she was fiery. Boy, she had personality. Yeah, very nice person. Boy, she even started doing something that was kind of embarrassing. She was just wild. She started to get wild at one point in her enthusiasm. Yeah, um, very exciting woman. Yeah, she could have been about in her late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. So I did meet someone. She wasn't. You know, everybody's different. Um, and you know, I know of another woman also from what we call Latin America, and her story goes a little bit more deeper. I mean, how it could affect people, adoptions, even if you're adopted with the same race people, same looking type. You know, no one would really, you know, no one really examine how different they look. They look about the same complexion. Say, you know, they're about the same. No one will really say anything as a baby. If you're looking for differences, you'll find it. Okay. So this other story, I'm remembering now. She was from Mexico, and she told me, shared me this story on her beginnings, and it affected her in a negative way. It caused her mental illness, rejection. She took it as rejection. See, everybody could have different experience, and they're slightly different stories. She knew who her she learned who her parents were. Um, her parents were, the father was a politician, a lawyer slash politician in Mexico. And he had, relations with this woman in Mexico. And she, conceived, gave birth to the girl. But because he's a married man, married to somebody else, and he's in politics, so they had to keep it secret. So I think they had somebody else take care of the child, someone from their community, same race. I forget if they were actually related, genetically related, relatives. I forget those details, but it's someone from the community. So she's raised in the community, everything like that. Um, but she finds out, and when she found out, her life crumbled. And then she met that she had an opportunity to meet her, at least her mother. I think it was her mother. And they kept distant. They were emotionally distant. They did speak with her. I forget how long she stayed with them. She was a grown woman when she met up with them. Um, but she felt devastated. I guess trying to understand, what happened. They explained to her what happened, or it was explained to her. But she did meet her mother at least. I'm not sure if she met the father, but she learned who the father was definitely. And but they didn't want to be too. What I remember, they didn't want to get too emotionally involved with her because, she has a new home and she doesn't. They don't want. They let her go. I mean, they gave her a new home for a new start, you know, and they didn't want to interrupt that. She was loved. And I think shortly after that, her biological grandmother passes away. She finds out and she's heartbroken. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. And she's heartbroken that, hey, how come they didn't get in contact with me? And I think that's when her life started really spiraling down. She felt rejected, and how it affected her, boy. So, three different scenarios, three different women I talked about, all from the Spanish speaking regions of the Americas. One in Mexico, one in Colombia, and one in another place in South America. And all about the same complexion, very pale. And yes, that last scenario, she too, on the application, we had to fill out a form. And she's sitting next to me, and I see that she's circled white as a racial category. And I was surprised at that. So, what race are these people? If many times when you ask them or you see what they put down on their application, what their race is. And if all their race is white, so how could you say it's interracial? I could say intercultural, yes. So it doesn't really matter, I just thought it was, it's like you want to eat your cake but keep it too. You want to be called, many of them want to be called a particular race, but then you want to use the minority card or different labels like Latino or Chicano if you're from Mexico, right? All these different labels, or Hispanic, or the greater Spanish-speaking community. And someone even wrote a comment. I just got it yesterday. Uh, it was something of a racial issue. I was commending um, the this person speaking out against a particular matter. Um, I think it was a racial matter, and I commended her and what she should say next time. You know, and someone wrote on my comment that, oh, how did it go now? So I don't want to give the wrong thing. Oh, basically, oh, brother. Oh, I don't even, I forget now. Or something like, blacks, oh yeah, they said blacks aren't uh, Hispanic, just like what's that? Just like Americans what was that? Aren't, oh, how'd it go? Blacks aren't Hispanic, and whites aren't, white Americans aren't something. Oh, I'm good. It was a contrast. And I wish I could be more, more direct. I mean, more exact on what was said. But what I thought, I said, wait a minute, someone could be a black person from a Hispanic region. You could be black and Hispanic. You could be Hispanic and black. But they're saying you cannot be a black person and be Hispanic. And that if you're American, you can't be. Anybody could be of any nationality. Like I am an American. And I have my genetics. Anybody could be of a different national, not, the different things. You could, you know, Hispanic is just someone of a particular, uh, understood that you're from a cultural heritage or influenced by Spain. That's all it means. Hispanic, you could be Chinese. There are Chinese people living in Cuba, and they've been there for a couple of generations. They are Hispanic because they are living in a society that is based on Spain, the Spanish culture. So they could speak the language, maybe, or maybe they eat the foods that's influenced from Spain, etc. So yes, someone could be a black person can be Hispanic, and a Hispanic person could be black. But not all blacks are Hispanic, and not all Hispanics are black. Just saying. So I gave the account of three different scenarios. The initial woman that was from Colombia, who was adopted by a white American family of Italian ancestry, and they included her in everything. She was family. And she probably, when she was a little girl, looked just like her Italian American family. So how could they say? I mean, what is race? What is really race in all this? Your little baby, you kind of blend in with the rest of the people, and then when you get older, yes, certain distinctions can occur. Yeah, that distinction could definitely occur, especially if you're not genetically, I mean, if you're not the biological parent, I mean, biological child of those parents, you bet you're going to see some differences, even when you're the same race. Because that's what makes genetics and parents, biological parents, distinct from their neighbors' children. I know of people they have, like, you might have two families, and they're both members of the same, let's say um, someone has sisters, and then they're friends with a neighbor across the street who had brothers, and they intermarry. They marry each other. So genetically, they all have the same. Uh, they would share grandparents, right? When they have a child together, there would be like what call it, double cousins. The children to each other would be double cousins because both of their parents were related to each other, and they can look different from each other. They can have differences in phenotype, yet they are double cousins. What they call double cousins. Genetics is really something. You can have the same parents and have distinctions. I mean, genetics are like that. And there was another awareness that came to my attention also around the same time, seeing that show. Um, I was walking. I live in New York City, and you have many different groups in New York City. And I noticed that someone, they were shirtless, I think. And I noticed their skin tone. Yes, I did notice. This beautiful brown color. And, um, and I noticed somebody else. And both people would be classified as being from two different races or ethnicities. One would be classified as a Black American slash African American, and the other one a South Asian, who are classified technically as Caucasians. Yes, people from South Asia slash India, Pakistan, they are classified as Caucasians, not because of their coloring, but because of their facial features. But anyway, they were both the same complexion, the same complexion. And that's when I said to myself, this race definition is hogwash. This is baloney. Yes, good morning, viewer. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. This is baloney. Race is baloney. You can get to, like someone from China and a so-called light-skinned black person, and they're the same complexion. They could be or someone from an indigenous person from Central America, and someone from, let's say, South Asia, or other type of black people, and they're the same complexion. They can even be darker than some black people that I've seen. So what is race? What is race? It's a made-up term to divide people. Race is a made-up social construct that's used to define and to separate people so they want to kill each other. Anytime you make a distinction, you're going to have problems. Men and women. Do you know some places there's a war against women? You cannot go outside unless you are accompanied by a man or a male, I should say. But that ruling, that law has been modified. That's in Saudi Arabia, but it was severe. They just recently changed that. She can now drive a car. Could you believe that? That they were hating on that woman, on the woman, so much in that country. And people are doing business with that country. People in America are doing business in Saudi Arabia. Yet the social conditions there for being a female. So it's okay to do business with countries that discriminate against women, But it's okay to discriminate if it's against both men and women, like countries that discriminate because based on race. How come you consider it bad if you discriminate because of race, but it's okay to discriminate against a woman for being a woman? See that? I remember years ago in the 1980s, South Africa was under what they call apartheid, and I was at a park, and a lot of the people were Black Americans, uh, people from the Caribbean, both Hispanic and non-Hispanic from the Caribbean, um, and other groups too, from the Americas and Europe too. It was a very eclectic group, and it was. I remember one of them was saying, "Oh, we should boycott this particular brand name because it's made in South Africa and blah blah blah. Oh, they're doing this and that." Okay. Now I understand they were trying to speak out and want to boycott a country that's doing what's called apartheid, racial apartheid against blacks and what they call coloreds in South Africa. It was white supremacy over the blacks and the so-called colored people. That's what they classify there. So it's just another awareness. So you're not called a bad name for doing business with Saudi Arabia and its treatment of women in general. You can go there, be even prestigious to do business. You can even be married to a woman. And you go into a place that's going to discriminate against women. Yet that's okay. But God forbid you go to a place that is considered racist. And let's say you're in an interracial relationship with someone or married to someone of a different race. So how do you rationalize that, people? How do you rationalize something like that about doing business with a culture that does not permit women to do things, but yet you're married to a woman and you say you love her, but yet you're doing business with a place that does that? Or what if you're in an interracial union with somebody and you go to a place that is considered racist? So are you now a racist because you go to a place like that? Or are you now sexist because you go to a country that has certain policies that is not favorable to women? Some places women aren't allowed to vote. Yet people are born from women, right? Everyone is born from a woman, but yet you have women who are second class citizens. How does that happen? Again, that's what happened in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, I know I'm getting a little bit off topic because now I'm talking about gender, but it's all related though. It's all related. Yeah, so what was the third component in this story? Yeah, I talked about the adoption. Oh, the faux pas from Jill Biden. Oh, okay, it's just past 4:30. I hear the birds in the background already. Yes, yes, it's still good morning, everybody. Yes, so yeah, the faux pas, or maybe it was really deliberate. Um, she spoke to an audience of what they call Hispanic journalists, and I think this talk was done in Texas. And a YouTuber shared it with us. Yeah, I subscribe to this one YouTuber, and he shared this one. And about Jill Biden, the first wife, the first lady uh, of this country, the U.S. And she's talking to this audience of Hispanic journalists, and again, she has a doctorate. So you think, and again, I'm sure she travels and all that, but she said something that this organization, well, someone spoke, a Hispanic organization spoke out against what she said, and she was contrasting different regions. She was saying that about the complexity the complexity and the variety of people from the Hispanic community, and then she said what she said. And it was really the last statement that she said. She was using words that she felt characterized of, it could have been a particular region, like she compared those of Hispanic origins that are living in the Bronx, those who live in Texas, and I think two other locations. But it was the latter comment that really, I think, infuriated. And she didn't pronounce the words correctly. And the YouTuber shared that. Uh, why? Now, she is married to the president. And yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Yes, so Jill Biden is married to the president, and I'm sure that she has access to speechwriters, right? So why would she? I mean, if I heard the comment. I just felt it was a little tacky. It's so typical tacky America. Yes, I am American. It was kind of like politician, just pandering. That's how I took it. She was trying to pander to a particular group, and she used words that to her resonated uh, the variety of different types of people from the Hispanic community. And no, I'm not a member of the Hispanic community, but it was said. So they're angry. This organization is angry that she spoke this way. Well, why did Jill Biden say what she said? Again, I never spoke to Jill Biden. I've never met her before. But why do you think someone of her caliber, and I'm sure she had speechwriters. Sorry, my batteries are running low. Let me put the plug on. Yes, like, let me put the plug in. So then get it in. Okay. Sorry, I had to put the plug in. Okay. Why would someone like that? And after the past 5 years of this race and racial awareness and calling certain politicians a bigot and a racist, and you were the Bidens were about inclusivity, right? They got a biracial person as the vice president, right? They pointed at Trump and said he's a bigot and a racist and a sexist. They covered all bases with him, right? Now, after all those 4 years when Trump was in, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that, the T word, when number 45 was in office, and then her husband's in there for, was it 2 years now? and all this chaos that's happening here in the United States, and then you go to an event, and why, okay, she's letting you know, hey, just because you have the label Hispanic, um, you're not all the same. You have varieties of different cultural aspects, which is true. But why did she choose the words that she chose? Unless it's to distract you people, it's to cause melee, it's to cause you to argue now. So is now Jill Biden the new bigot? Is she now the new racist? Is she? You voted, many of you voted for her. Many black people voted, many white people, all different Americans allegedly voted for her husband. And that's why he's in the White House. So what's a bigot? What's a racist? So is she? You got to ask yourself now. So are you going to now say, we have to remove that couple from the White House because of this statement that offended some members of the Hispanic community? Now, let's go further with this. So, again, what is race and what is racism? Many Hispanics that live in the United States, if you ask them, what race are you? And remind them, Hispanic is not a race, but an ethnicity within a race of people or races of people. What race are you? What will many of them say? And the organization, the Hispanic Journal, what do you call it? Journalists, Hispanic journalists. What race are they? What race would many of them from that community and that organization, what do they classify themselves as? Is it not white oftentimes? In their country of origin, or the country of their Hispanic origins in the Americas, or even in Spain, okay? What race do they call themselves? And if it's white, then how could you say that Joe Biden or anybody else is a racist against them when they're both classified as white? You understand the point that I'm making? How could someone be a racist if they're both the same race? Now, someone could say they have different ethnicities. Yes. So we see that there's a lot of overlapping when it comes to race and racism. You had an election, and you had someone that was being, being impeached because they allege different things, and what fueled it was alleged racism and bigotry and sexism. So now, after all these years, in order for, and I'm sure she's exposed to many different types of people because she was married to a politician for over 40 something years. I remember she worked with Obama. I mean, her husband was under Obama, remember? And I'm sure even back then she had to travel with her husband to different countries and places and meeting people, but yet she can't get a speechwriter that can I don't know. But you know, sometimes things are said in tongue in cheek. Yes, people may use words and it's um could be generalizing, but we all generalize. We may generalize to let people know that yes, I know that you are a member of this type of background, or you're from this part of the country. Things that characterize you. We all have different characteristics that make us unique in comparison to another group that distinguishes us. And you could be neighbors, but they're spoken. Not everything that is said to destroy, embarrass, humiliate. Some things are said playful. You know, you have comedians, and they play up differences, characteristics, or to it's not everything is said to harm. And you ask yourself, have you ever said things, whatever? And you might talk about, hey, maybe someone's religion, certain characters about religion, or someone from Brooklyn, or in contrast from someone from Manhattan. Certain characters, certain words, certain ways that they might pronounce certain things, and you might poke at each other in jest. You may understand certain jokes within certain communities. I used to live in Hawaii. I was only there a little short than 3 years. And I understood the jokes amongst the groups there. I may not be from that group, but I understand the humor. Because I understand you. I understood enough of the culture. And what made it funny, it was hilarious, this guy. Yeah, he was mixed up different. He was Hawaiian and Filipino mix, which is a very common mixture in Hawaii, on that island. And he was a comedian, and he said a joke in front of all of us, deprecating himself, but playfully. He was playfully poking fun of himself because of his background, and I understood the joke, and it was funny. What makes things interesting is contrast. When you play with contrast and you understand the social, the history, and then you spin it, and that's what makes certain things funny. When you with the intent to make something funny, he understood what he was. He understood the history and everything, and I understood because I was living there for a while, and I understand what it was all about. Do I have permission to laugh? Do I? I understood the joke, and that's why I laughed. Yeah. So yeah. So again, that's an interesting argument. Do you have permission to let's say someone of a different group, and they are saying a joke amongst themselves, but you're in the room, you're right there in earshot, and they say a joke about themselves, whether it's because of their religion or race or whatever, or what region that they live in, and is it something very specific about that group? And let's say you understood the joke. Do you have permission to laugh? Well, if you can understand the joke, you have permission to laugh. But I guess it could be a little sensitive if you're perceived as being outside of that group and they don't like you, you know? So who knows? Who really knows Um, but yeah, so race and racism and all these different stories, and the latter to be discussed. The latter to be discussed is about Jill Biden. So what's going to happen with Jill Biden and her husband? Was this said to cause, I mean, as a distraction? I had a teacher, I had a college teacher that did something like that. Um, it was a college room. He was a sociology teacher, and it was the beginning of the semester, and people really don't want to be there. You know, it's one of those classes you have to take to graduate. And the people aren't participating. He wanted a classroom that people to participate. He didn't just want to be a monologue. He wanted people to participate. And no one was responding to him. So, yeah, he was from Turkey, the country called Turkey. And he said a racial slur joke. It was to, yeah, he said a slur. He knew better not to talk about black people. So he chose another group, and he did that deliberately to call, to cause the students, hey, you know. And I knew what he was doing. Is he a bigot and a racist, or he's someone that is uh, poking at you to try to get a response? A lot of speakers, public speakers, say things deliberately to get a response from you. And that's it. They got the response. They got, the Jill Biden got a response. Why the response? What did she want to do with that response? That's to be told. And I'm wondering whether, and the other YouTubers shared the video, are they trying to build up offense against Biden's administration, Biden and his administration, and his wife, as an excuse why he should not remain in office? It's just food for thought. Is this what's going on? She's too intelligent to say something so stupid, you know. Not at this part of the game. Shooting yourself in the foot, so then they could conveniently get rid of you and put somebody else in for the next phase of this country's downfall. I personally think that they're trying to pull another fast one. So the next step of the agenda is initiated, but they need an excuse, you know. His falling down, fall on his bike is not enough. So now you get his wife to say a speech, right? And you're going to say something like that. It was tacky. It just, it seems like Americans are getting more and more tacky every day. And yes, I am an American. I love this country, but I don't love the things that's happening in it. I don't like the things happening, and I don't like the division. Who are we? This thing called race and racism is just another human construct of division, making us more defensive against each other, hateful, and divisive. And it started from the very beginning in the Bible when they ate of the fruit and then they became aware that they were naked. Just like we become aware that someone is of a particular ethnic group or nationality or religion. It is that poison that's in our system that's causing this world division. And this creature that is dividing humanity is who's really behind it, I think. That serpent from the very beginning is alive and well on planet Earth, causing destruction. So, this is just for you to be aware that, yeah, they're going to be playing these different cards: race card, nationality card, ethnic cards, religion cards, to cause division. Love yourself, take care of yourself, and love your neighbor. I think that's the answer to it all. Yes. Yeah. So I thank you all for listening and watching this live stream. And those of you who like this content, you may wish to PayPal me. To do so, you go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the top right of the banner of the channel, you will see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompts, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. I thank you in advance. Yes. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful, um, bountiful day. And, celebrate diversity. Go to the park and notice the different flowers out there, the different types of trees and grasses and bushes out there. Variety is wonderful. Variety is our gift of life, not division. Okay? I say that to myself because I need to be reminded myself. Because I have weaknesses also, just like everybody else. But it's nice to know what the truth is, that variety and life really is beautiful. Okay? So I thank you all for watching and listening to this live stream. Hey, tell your friends about it. If you like it, hey, share it with some of your friends that will like this video. Or you can even comment below if you want to add some content to it. Um, your experiences as it pertains to race, racism. Does it make sense what I talk about? How could someone be a different race, yet they're the same color, right? You can have different facial features. You can have one feature that's shared by many groups. We're all mixed match. Race is a construct that could change overnight, and they want us to kill each other because of it. And I think that's sad. So take care again. Enjoy and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Until next time, see ya.